They say every home tells a story. Mine used to whisper through the leaves of an old oak tree, tall, strong, and older than the neighborhood itself. My name is Ethan Cole, and that tree had been in my family for over 50 years. It watched me grow up, fall in love, and build the life my parents always dreamed I'd have. But the Maple Grove HOA didn't care about memories. To them, my oak was a hazard. To me, it was heritage. The note is, one Thursday morning, I stepped onto my porch with coffee in hand and froze. A bright orange sign was nailed to my tree. Notice of removal, unsafe structure. I blinked, thinking it was a mistake. I called the HOA office. A voice answered, Susan Hale, the HOA president. Hi, Susan. This is Ethan on Cedar Lane. I think you've posted a notice on my oak tree by mistake. No mistake, Mr. Cole, she replied smoothly. Our arborist determined it's diseased and dangerous. It'll be removed this weekend. I frowned. That tree's perfectly healthy, and it's on my property. She paused, her tone shifting from polite to firm. The HOA has authority over all front-facing landscaping. You signed the covenant when you moved in. I signed an agreement for lawn maintenance, I said sharply, not to have my property destroyed. She exhaled impatiently. You can appeal at next month's meeting, but removal is scheduled for Saturday. Saturday, I repeated. That's 2 days from now. Then I suggest you appeal quickly, she said, and hung up. The cut. Saturday came like a nightmare. I woke to the sound of chainsaws. When I ran outside, 2 men in yellow vests were already halfway through the trunk. Stop, I yelled, you have no right. One worker turned, talk to the HOA, sir. I saw Susan standing across the street, arms folded, watching like a queen overseeing an execution. Get off my property, I shouted at her. She smiled faintly. Too late, Ethan, safety first. By noon, the tree was gone. Just a flat, splintered stump, and years of memories turned to sawdust. That night, the wind howled through the empty space where the branches used to sway. And something inside me snapped. The discovery. The next morning, I walked to the stump, still furious. That's when I noticed something odd. The ground looked disturbed, deeper than the roots. Curious, I grabbed my shovel and started digging. About a foot down, I hit metal. I cleared the dirt and pulled out a rusted lockbox. It looked old, really old. When I forced it open, I found a stack of papers sealed in plastic, property maps, deeds, and HOA formation documents from the 1980s. At first, I didn't understand. Then I saw a name on the papers, Susan Hale's father. He'd been the original HOA treasurer. And the documents showed something shocking: misused community funds and falsified maintenance reports. It looked like Susan's family had built the HOA's foundation on fraud. And she'd been keeping it buried, literally, under my tree. Connecting the dots, I scanned every page and spent hours comparing signatures and dates. Turns out, the land my oak stood on used to be a boundary marker, the line between private property and common area. Years ago, the HOA had redrawn that boundary illegally to claim more land. And that land just happened to include my front yard. If I could prove that, everything Susan had done, including cutting down my tree, was illegal. The plan. I reached out to Maya Chen, a local investigative reporter who covered housing disputes. When I showed her the photos and documents, her eyes widened. Ethan, this isn't just about a tree, she said. This is a decades-long property fraud. She agreed to run the story, but we needed one more thing: proof the HOA knew about it. So I attended the next HOA meeting. The room was full. Neighbors, board members, and of course, Susan sitting at the front, smug as ever. When it was my turn to speak, I stood up and placed a folder on the table. This, I said, is proof that the Maple Grove HOA was built on falsified land documents. Your father forged property maps, Susan, and I have the originals. The room went dead silent. Susan's smile vanished. You're lying, she hissed. I pulled out my phone and played a short clip, an old audio recording from one of the documents. It was a taped conversation between her father and the original developer, talking about adjusting the lines to collect higher dues. Everyone heard it. Neighbors gasped. One man shouted, "You stole our money." Susan turned pale. The fallout. The next week, Maya's story hit the local news. HOA scandal, fraud and land theft in Maple Grove Estates. The report showed everything, the documents, the forged signatures, even the clip of Susan trying to deny it. The city launched an investigation. Within a month, the entire HOA board was suspended, and Susan was charged with fraud and falsification of public records. The best part: the land boundary was restored legally to my name. The rebirth. That spring, I planted a new tree on the exact spot where the old oak once stood. A young maple this time, tall, green, reaching for the sky. Neighbors came by to help. We laughed, planted flowers, and for the first time, the street felt alive again. As we finished, Maya came over for a final interview. "Ethan," she asked, "why did you decide to dig there in the first place?" I smiled. "I didn't dig for revenge," I said. "I dug for truth." She grinned, "And you found both." Epilogue. Months later, a new HOA was elected, fair, transparent, led by the very neighbors who'd once been too afraid to speak up. They asked me to be on the board. I declined politely. I'd rather tend to my garden and watch my new tree grow, standing tall where secrets used to lie buried. Because, in the end, some roots go deeper than corruption ever could. They cut down what they thought was just a tree. But what they really uprooted was the truth.